This is a ride Patty and I took this afternoon, leaving Weaverville and riding out through the countryside over the French Broad and among the hills and dales. And I don't know why this thing gets so herky-jerky when I try to create a screen recording. And I lose the blue line for the track a lot. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now there you got the thing, shooting ahead of the line. Anyway, I'm going to give it a try and see how long it takes. And if it doesn't take too long, I'll put it on YouTube and send you the link. We are headed down toward the French Broad through Weaverville on some small roads, one of which passes this huge quarry. And when you see it from the ground, you don't see it, is the key. It is so much bigger than anything I ever imagined. But we're down here, coming down to the French Broad at this stage of the game. We're going to turn right and run out along the river. These tracks, by the way, that I'm using to create this came from my iPhone. And they're not bad. They're almost better than my GPS, and this seems to be a little bit smoother than trying to do the same thing with the tracks from the GPS. But the same problem exists with losing the route. In any event, here we are about to cross the French Broad and head out into the hinterlands. It was a pretty day. Temperatures probably in the neighborhood of 65 degrees. Maybe even 70, but it was awfully nice, and we're just winding along a lot of little two-lane roads, and for some reason the track can't keep up with the motion of Google Earth, but you get an idea what it's like in any event, and get some kind of an idea, I guess, about the kind of countryside around here. What's interesting is that when you're riding these roads, you know they're homes and so forth, but you don't have any idea there are as many people that obviously live out in these rural areas as there in fact are. A lot of farms, you don't see anybody. We were gone an hour and a half, and I don't think we, had saw two or three cars going our direction, and not many going the other direction. Um, it was pretty. The leaves have started to turn, but we're obviously not at a peak at this stage of the game, and we're just riding through. I tell you what I see on these things is I see an awful lot of places I'd like to take my KTM and ride some of these dirt roads, and they're not Forest Service roads. Unfortunately, I think they're all private roads. So since we're not seeing the line, you just kind of have to follow the track arrow as best you can, and I can't tell you why it leaves the line sometimes and doesn't leave the line others, but it's one of the great mysteries as far as I'm concerned, and I don't understand it. Maybe someday I'll find somebody that can give me a hand with it. We made this turn, and we are actually at probably a high point there and headed down ultimately back toward the French Broad River, just west of Marshall, North Carolina. And when we get down there, we are going to cross a bridge over the river. And the river, by the way, is supposedly the third oldest river in the world. I don't know how they determine those things, but that's what we're told and led to believe. And not only that, it is perhaps, as far as I know, the only river east of the Mississippi which actually flows north. So we'll be riding against the current, if you will, by the time we get back down to the river. This is just a route that we took through these valleys, and again, they are small roads, no traffic on them to speak of. You see an occasional car. I don't think we saw 10 cars going the other direction the whole time either. And it makes for a very pleasant ride, and you can go out and you don't have much of a concern for safety, although you have to be careful. You can't just fly around willy-nilly, but it was a pretty ride, and tomorrow's supposed to be cloudier and overcast. And here we are coming back to the French Broad River, and we're going to go out, we're going to cross this bridge, and then we're going to ride up the hill roughly a mile to where you see that sort of, you call that an oblique turn? It's almost like a horseshoe, where we're going to turn off. And by the way, when I just run this route on its own without trying to record it, it's all very clear, and you see the line, and it's smooth. And anyway, we make that turn there, and then we head down into a valley, and then we are going to climb back up the hill, and we're going to run a ridge line all the way up the river to Marshall. The ridge is fairly high off the river. You get some spectacular views looking across the river. And here the arrow isn't even making any attempt to stay on the road. You got me. I don't know. It's damn GPS tracks. Well, as I said, these tracks came from my phone, my iPhone. I tried an app that I had loaded into the iPhone. And it's not bad. It certainly shows where we went, and other than the fact that it's not right spot on the road, you certainly get an idea where we were. That's Marshall in the upper right-hand corner. Marshall is in Madison County. Madison County, I'm sorry to say, is a fairly poor, indigent county. There's certainly some money hidden away in these hills, but they've had their problems over the years with meth labs and people growing pot and what have you. And I think it's because it's so rural and because it's so isolated, it attracts some of those people. But we know a number of people that live in Madison County, and it's the home of some of the best fiddle players in the world, frankly, bluegrass fiddle players anywhere. Bobby Hicks lives near Marshall. Bobby Hicks has won about 5 or 6, 7 Grammys. He's won the Country Music Association Fiddler of the Year award on a number of occasions. And here we are making a bend in the road, and we're just going to follow the river all the way back down until we turn off and head up into Weaverville. And these homes that you can see perched on these sort of promontories high above the river, you never see. I don't even know how you get to them, but we could probably figure it out. And here we're running, we're essentially going upriver. The river was beautiful this afternoon. It was just as clear as it looks in this film. And we're going to go around this long point. It's a fairly sharp, long turn. You can't take too fast. And the river is a tremendous smallmouth fishery in places, and it also harbors muskies further upriver. And I guess if you go far enough, there's even some trout fishing. But it's, unfortunately, I have not spent as much time as I'd like to fishing the river. There are parts of it that are wadable, but it'd be treacherous, and you really would have to be careful, because if you went down, there's generally enough current out there that you would not enjoy the experience, I can tell you that. We've essentially done a large loop. This is another quarry that I didn't even know was there. And we're headed back along the river, and we're coming back to the bridge where we crossed it initially. And we'll go another mile or so and then cut up toward Weaverville. And then head home. The total ride took us roughly an hour and a half. I think we went about 50 miles, maybe not even quite that much. There's the quarry we passed on the way out. We're going to turn left before we get there. By the way, again, you don't see that. You don't even know that's up there unless you look at it from the air, which is one of the amazing things about Google Earth, I think, that it gives us the opportunity to see what some of our surroundings actually look like. And I've occasionally seen roads on here that I've gone and sought out on the motorbike, uh, and had some good rides from time to time. I've ridden this route before. I've generally done it in the opposite direction, so this was unique. And you see things go in one direction that you don't see going the other, and vice versa. And this was a fun ride. It was comfortable, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. And here we are turning on to 2570, about to cross future I-26. That's a Walmart and a Lowe's on our right there. And we cross 26, and there's a shopping center on the left-hand side, and that big roof line you see on the right coming up after we cross the river is an Ingles grocery store, and there's some fast food restaurants and banks and what have you before you get there. And so we're headed home back into the little town of Weaverville, and then back home, and we shall see what we shall see. This has taken a little longer than I had hoped, but I may post it anyway and see how it turns out. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and hope you enjoy it.